Welcome to the MLG Spring Championship Kespa qualifiers. This is the finals for the qualifiers as well. It's going to be the finals of Group A. It's going to be between Stats and TY. My name is Whiplash, and I'll be casting along with Supernova Maniac. So let's go ahead and check out our Blue Protoss player in the top left-hand position. His name is Stats, and we've been following a lot of his games. He's made it into the final, but can he defeat TY?
Well, TY has been playing solid in Heart of the Swarm in Pro League, and now all he has to do is take out Stats to go to United States for the MLG Spring Championship. He spawns as Red Terran on the right bottom corner of the map.
Yes, indeed he does. So, any predictions for the style of play that TY's going to go for?
Well, I'm not too sure right now. Pretty much his style that we saw in Pro League is harassment-oriented. He loves to go for a lot of drops inside the main base and put Protoss players out of position. So I expect TY to play like that, but also he's not going to risk it as much in set number 1.
Yeah, going to kind of get more of a feel out, and it's really common for players to do that in the first set, and I would like to see more cheeses in the first set when you go to a best of 3 or best of 5, but oftentimes it just kind of comes down to the players feeling out the situation, seeing how the pace of the series is going to be played.
And also, if you're trying to cheese in first set, you gotta have lots of guts to do it.
You have to have the guts and the confidence.
Yeah. If not, then you just give away the first set. You give the time. You pretty much give away the tie to your opponent, and your opponent's gonna have huge confidence going into set number 2.
Yeah, that's totally
You don't want
true.
that to happen in a bst of 3 scenario.
No, you don't, because when you're down one game, you're down to that last chance.
Yeah, maybe best of 5 or best of 7, but not best of 3.
Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like TY's gonna go ahead and scout his opponent. Same thing for Stats. And we do see TY going just for a standard barracks expansion here. He's going to go for the reactor expand, getting the gas here as well. Building 2 Marines to kind of start his defenses up here. And he's going to go for an expansion afterward, of course. That's very common in the metagame nowadays. It'd be kind of weird if he didn't.
I mean, without some rare matchups, it's been a while since we saw a player go for one base play.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't put it past TY. I think he's the kind of player that would go for something like that. But with the addition of the Mothership Core to Heart of the Swarm, you can almost never one-base all-in Protoss players anymore. It's next to impossible.
Yeah. And given the fact that it's a set number 1, both players are playing solid right now. Look at TY sending out the Marines to the right side just to make sure that there isn't any proxy pylon over there.
And TY may actually go for an engineering bay block. He is making a command center at that natural. Going to go ahead and scout his opponent's main base with that SCV, the Mothership Core. Going to scare it away. And the SCV looks like it's not going to build an engineering bay to block the potential expansion of Stats. He's going to go ahead instead and just focus on getting a factory behind this. And I almost always see TY go for the factory almost as fast as possible in pretty much every matchup.
I mean, it's the difference between the style of play. Some players like to get more barracks out, to get more bio units out, and just play a standard Wings of Liberty style game. Now, a lot more players are trying to utilize the Hellbats because they're fantastic. Why not go for them trying to roast a lot of probes?
Yeah. I believe Innovation and Flash were talking about Hellbats in the past, or Flash specifically, and he's like, I kept losing, and then I just decided to make more Hellbats, and I did a lot better in this matchup.
It's like, oh my god, I could use Hellbats!
And he's just like a light bulb clicked in his head, like Hellbats are a great unit.
I can drop them in the mineral line.
I can drop them, I can use them in my main army, my medevacs can heal them! Alright, the Mothership Core trying to gain a little bit of scouting information here. Gonna get fended off by those Marines, though. We'll see the expansion, though, or at least have a good indication that there's an expansion there. We do have a starport on the way for TY as well. He's getting a couple of Hellions here. And we do see TY occasionally go for these little mini timing attacks early on in the game against Protoss players, trying to catch them off guard.
Yeah, and with no armory coming out, I have to say this is most likely going to be some Hellion drop or even Widowmine drop inside the main base, trying to get the probes to the natural and trying to roast those probes with the Hellion.
Yes, indeed. All right, it looks like we have 2 additional...
Ooh, nice denial of scout.
Yeah, picking off that probe there. Nice little win for TY. Just got to be annoying. The stats a little bit frustrating, but Looking at the production from stats side of the map, he's got 2 additional gateways on the way, a robo as well, a few sentries for defense. This is pretty much the safest style you can play against a Terran player early on in the game. You're pretty much safe against any type of really drop play due to your production, and you have observers out very fast as well.
We do have the Helmet following up behind us, but we have the first medevac out from our Terran player as the medevac is moving across the map. There is a Hellion at the natural. I'm not too sure if showing them early is the right decision because he was trying to go for the harassment inside the main base and the Hellion at the natural at the same time, but nonetheless he shows it anyways.
All right, we do have the medevac moving across the map. It's either going to drop, or lift up the Marines and drop them into the main base. Yeah, that's what it looks like TY wants to do. And behind this, an armory is about to finish. We have 2 additional barracks on the way. Stalkers warping in the main base, and this is why this build and opening is so great from stats. If your opponent goes for an aggressive play early on in the game, you just completely counter it.
And the problem is he saw the number of Hellions. 4 Hellions in PvT, this never happened, so he knew that TY was going for aggressive play, and that's the reason why he had enough Stalkers inside the main base to defend the attack.
All right, TY trying to make some harassment and damage work here, but stats ain't having any of it, man.
Yeah.
He is just deflecting TY's aggressive attacks at every turn here. Not a single probe except for one early on. The scouting probe is killed in this game.
That's the reason why I was so surprised that TY actually showed his own Hellions early in the game, because you're supposed to hide until the very last second. This Marine just getting drawn, trying to see if it can get some scouting, trying to draw away the stalker, but not going to happen.
Nope. Stats, you know, I always say that he's a solid player, and he's showing that play in spades in this first set here against TY. But the problem is now the Hellbats are on the way for TY, and
the Forge is not finished, which means no cannon at the natural or the main base.
The Hellbats are much more likely to do damage than bio drops or the Hellion drops.
Well,
keep that in mind.
It has been scouted with the observer, so can Sass actually take down the medevac?
He's bringing his Stalkers back. Does he have enough energy on that mothership core? Yes, he does. He can go ahead and use that Nexus Cannon if he needs to kind of scare away the medevac here. Twilight Council now completed. We have +1 on the way. The Hellbat's being dropped in the natural now. Stats, he needs to bring away his units here.
Oh, those are clumped! That's not
no.
supposed to happen. Nice voice field trapping the Hellbats in the back, but that clump was not ideal for Stats.
No, actually 10 workers ended up being picked off here.
That was worth it.
And he saves the medevac, completely worth it there.
And behind this, he's taking a 3rd command center, and Stats cannot move out on the map because he's so afraid of these Hellbats dropping in the middle lines once again. He even knows that there is a 2nd medevac out in the field full of Marines, which he doesn't know where his position right now.
Yeah. So that Hellbat drop definitely helped equalize the game out. Stats certainly was in a more solid position earlier on in the game, but TY, he's really starting to ramp up his production. He's getting his 3rd base behind this, and overall he's getting his +1 attack for his bio units. He's getting stim, and his production's looking absolutely amazing.
Now the economy does go to TY right now, as like you said, their command center going up, but the tech is still there for Stats. So even if TY pushes out, he still needs to be careful. One wrong mistake and he's going to lose the game. He's going to lose his whole army.
Yeah, also TY, he does not have combat shields yet. He'll start researching that after stim, of course. And Stats adding on a lot of additional gateways here because he is going for that gateway-centric army here. He's going for the Storm as well. Charge about to complete, as well as +1 armor now recently completing as we see the +1 attack for the Protoss player begin.
TY's looking so solid in this game right now. With constant Hellbats and Marines being added in, he's even adding 2 more Ghosts in this army. 3 additional Ghosts, so he knows what his opponent is going for.
I love that he's adding in the Ghost so early into his army composition because that's going to completely counter the Templar tech early on.
And that's only because he saw the Templar tech go down.
Yeah, seeing that helped him out so much there, and that means he doesn't need to waste any scans, any money on dealing with the Colossus early on.
So with TY knowing what his opponent is doing completely, can he actually take the advantage? When it comes to economy, he is so far ahead compared to his opponent. In fact, if you look at the bank, Stats is stacked up to 12k minerals and he's not spending.
Oh, that's actually a bit of a mistake on Stats' side there. You can spend all of those resources into Zealots, and even, getting a few more High Templar here. He needs to take a 3rd expansion, and TY a bit out of position here with his units. He can't fight this army head on. The Chargelots are going to be able to just eviscerate these Marines without the combat shields, but at the same time, we have a Hellbat drop going into the main base. There's a few units here, though. They will be able to scare that away. The defense from Stats too good for TY to deal with.
I was also lucky for TY because he didn't get feedback right away, because there was one High Templar just sitting on the left side trying to see if he can snipe the medevac right away.
All right, well, it looks like Stats is going to go ahead and grab his third base now. The +1 attack is moments from completing, getting the robotics bay as well. Eventually going to move into the Colossus tech, and he's getting a second forge for those double forge upgrades. I really like that he's decided to do that. And Ty at the same time has also gotten a second engineering bay here, researching that +1 armor and the +2 ground attack. The rest of his bio upgrades are just about to finish as well, with concussive shells recently completing and combat shields on its way.
You know, I have to say throughout the whole game, Ty does have better economy than his opponent, but Stats, he didn't lose any critical amount of units, as in, like, you know, the Templars or Colossus, and that's the reason why Protoss players lose. When they start losing the economy, they also start throwing away some of the Colossus here and there, and there's a helmet drop at the natural.
The Hellbat's stuck in a pretty solid position there, killing up the 14 workers total.
Only 4 additional probes have been killed, and there was 2 additional Hellbat drops, one that we didn't catch on the screen, and the other one that we just saw right now.
So Stats, you know, he did lose. He kind of botched one defense against the Hellbats, but 14 workers, 14 minutes into the game, it's you can deal with that. It's not the end of the world. And Stats was in a great position earlier on in the game as well. So it's still a very even game here, and I really love how much defense Stats has here in his main base to really just prevent drops from happening. Unfortunately, loses one of those High Templar there to those units, and Stats still has to be on the defensive. He needs to secure and make sure he has that third base and keeps that secure before Ty can finish it off. He's up 177 supply to 156.
He is down in supply, but Ty only scouted that his opponent is going for the Colossus. Now adding in the second starport, and
here come the
Vikings.
One feedback goes down, but the High Templars do get EMP'd from the looks of things.
But Ty actually cannot engage in this army because that's still a lot of Marines over there, and there is a Colossus out from Stats. So if Stats has nice force fields, then Ty's units are going to get eaten away. So he still needs to be careful over here.
Ty's going for the attack, though. The Hellbats are going to do a great job at killing off a lot of these charge lots here. There are a few left in the army mix, but the Marines easily take them down, and the Stormman goes down, but doesn't really hit much. Nexus Cannon is activated as well, and the Colossus, along with these Stalkers, finish off the rest of that bio army. Amazing control from Ty early on, but then it kind of blundered halfway through there and allowed Stats to win the engagement.
The Marines were clumped up, and the Colossus was getting a free shot on all of those Marines. As Ty, he's going to try to charge in once again, but the second Colossus is out. The first Colossus does get taken out, but it doesn't matter as the second Colossus backs up the main army.
The High Templars also get some amazing feedbacks on those medevacs as well. It's going to force Ty back here. And if we look at the supplies, they're actually really close here. Ty needs the kind of run back home. He is building a 4th command center behind this, going for his +3 ground attack. But Stats, he's going for the 3-3 of his own here. He's going to be ahead in upgrades eventually, and he continues to add on more gateways here, adding in more Colossus. His production is going to be stellar any moment from now. Yeah,
and Stats, since he has good amount of army, he can actually defend this location. But there's a drop inside the main base. He does have a High Templar. He can go for the feedback to deny his opponent from moving out on the map, but that's not that many units inside the main base.
Yep, and Stats, he's going to respond with this by warping in more Zealots here. The Colossus completes, second feedback goes down, and that medevac has got a lot of dangerously low health units in there, but it will survive.
You know, this was really smart by Stats because Ty was trying to put the unit out of position so that he could take out the third Nexus on the right side. However, Stats did not take the bait. Instead, he waited for the Colossus to finish. He waited to warp in more Zealots and forced Ty out of that position. So really nice play by Stats.
Yeah. And Stats behind this, he's got a superior army supply now, 168 to 157. He's taking his 4th expansion as well. It's starting to take control of this game, I feel.
Oh yeah, definitely, because like I said, Stats, he might be behind in some probes here and there, but the additional harassment didn't do as much damage, and his Colossus and the Archons never got taken out. The High Templars, yes, they do get EMP'd, but not before putting down, you know, nice feedback on all of the army. And if you actually look at the SCV and the probe supply, there was up to 74 probes from Stats and only 69 SCVs from Ty.
Yeah. And this medevac's going to move in here, trying to do a little bit of damage, but it gets picked off by that High Templar and Cannon. The High Templar will fall here, but the charge lot reinforcements easily picking off the rest of these units. And the problem with Ty's drops now is they're not doing any type of economic damage here, and that's going to allow Stats to stay in the game a lot longer. And with him securing that 4th base, I feel like Ty is going to be a little bit more on the defensive here now instead of the offensive.
Oh yeah, he has to be at this point because he's trying to secure his own 4th base. He does have enough Vikings against the Colossus, but his upgrades are so far behind compared to his opponent.
Now, Stats is on 3-3 upgrades. Ty, his +3 attack did recently finish here, as well as his +2 armor. But, you know, still, he wants to be even with the Protoss if possible. That small advantage could end up changing the tide in a maxed out fight here. We do have a maxed out Protoss and Terran army pretty much at this point here. We have a second robotics on the way. Cloak now being researched for ghosts, and we even have the Observer's speed and shields upgrade now for Stats, as he's spent most of his gas on the crucial upgrades that he needed.
Now, since Stats is maxed out, he can't go for any harassment, which means that he's going to have a really nice, strong army against Ty's main army, but he's going to allow Ty to get a lot more ghosts out, or a lot more Vikings out behind this, because there's not going to be any War Prison drop inside the main base or Zala run-by at the forward base.
Yep, Ty continuing to try to do a few drops here and there. Oh, if we get a feedback on that medevac there, it'll get picked off instantly, but instead we see 2 Templars get picked off there. Unfortunately, not the best reaction from Stats there. He could have easily picked off the medevac and all those units in there, but loses 2 High Templar instead. Does eventually get the medevac though. Ty now moving across the map. He wants to go for a main attack at the natural here, and it looks like Stats a little bit out of position here. He doesn't have all of his forces as well, and using an additional scan to pick off that observer as well.
Yeah, well, we also have to look at where their High Templar positioning is, because Stats, because of the drop defense, he's been splitting up the Templars here and there, which means that 1 EMP is not going to be enough against the Storms, and now Ty only sending a few units inside the main base, trying to harass, does get a Motley Core and the Robo Bay.
These units are actually being incredibly cost-efficient and annoying the Stats here. They're still not dead, and we have additional reinforcements that will eventually pick them off. But I have to say that, you know, they went in there, they killed the Mothership Core and the second Robotics Bay. Not bad at all.
Oh, just misses the EMP right there, as Stats dodges it really very nicely. And I have to say, throughout the whole game, Stats, when he sees a drop, he only sends few Zealots up there, not over-committing at all.
Ooh, we have a Fleet Beacon on the way here, 2 additional Stargates in production. You know what? I remember Flash saying in an interview recently that...
I translated it for you.
Yeah, you translated it for me, actually. He thinks that Tempests are overpowered and need a nerf. So this may be indicative of something that Stats is very good at doing in the practice house. Remember, Stats and Flash, they are on the same team. They are practice partners, and this late game transition could be something that is a feared tactic from the Protoss side. Stats even throwing away some charge lots here. He needs the free up supply for the Tempest. He's getting the +1 attack here. We have a double medevac drop going on in the main. There's not a lot of defense there. The Fleet Beacon is scouted, as well as the 3 Tempests in production.
So now, how is Ty going to deal against it? First of all, he's going to take out the Stargate over there, and since he's supply capped right now, he can't send only a few Zalos. He actually needs to send some of his army back to the main base now. But now he calculated that he can defend against this. That's the reason why the main army is not going to be going home.
The charge lot's not doing too much damage there. The additional reinforcements in the Colossus will pick off the rest of his bioforces, but let's not forget, Stats' tech switch has been scouted, and the Tempest, one of the, they're going to be revealed now as well. Going to pick off that medevac there. And this is interesting. We'll have to see how this plays out here. It looks like Stats wants to trade all of his charge lots for Tempest at this point.
Yeah, well, there's another medevac drop going inside the main base, so the question is, well, there's also attack at the forward base right now at the same time.
Well, Stats doing a great job multitasking, but he has great EMPs. They've been showering over all of these units here. The medevac's now moving into the natural. The Colossus getting picked off. Both players trading a lot of economy and damage. Army values here back and forth. Charge lots being warped in as well to deal with this medevac drop. And the Fleet Beacon was actually picked off there as well, so Stats, you know, it looks like late game the drop's doing a lot of damage, but that Zealot's gotten up to 14 kills here. The Bioforces are going to eventually pick off those remaining Zots. The damage has been done at Ty's economy. Look at the resource and supply counts here between these players. Stats way ahead in both supplies and resources.
Yeah, in fact, right now, Stats has up to 68 probes and 54 SCVs of Ty. If you look at the Viking count, it's up to 18 right now, knowing that his opponent is going for full air with Tempest supporting behind this.
Oh, but that is a very impressive Viking count there.
Now it's really crucial for Stats to hide the Tempest, because if Stats knows where the Vikings are, he could storm and then eat away on the Vikings one by one.
I think that may be his plan here. Ty now going to go ahead and take a 5th expansion.
Yeah.
And we don't see a 5th yet from Stats here. There's only 1 expansion left on the map, actually, to take. So eventually Stats will want to go ahead and grab that.
This is so annoying for the Terran player, because now even if he has a lot of Vikings, it's kind of hard to engage into the army, because Tempest has nice range, and he doesn't know where the storms are going to hit the Vikings. And all Protoss player has to do right now is run back to the cannon if he thinks that the engagement is not going to go in his favor.
It's gone from the Brood War Turtle Terran style to the StarCraft 2 Turtle Protoss style.
Well, we have a triple medevac drop going inside the main base at the same time. Stats is slowly moving out on the map once again.
I think, though, at this point, Stats, he's got to know that Ty wants to keep attacking this location and stifle the production of these Tempests. One of them getting very low on health here. Looks like it will escape. An additional one kind of out of position there. The Zealots doing nothing right now, actually. I think they wanted to go to the main base. One of the Tempests does get picked off here. And Ty continuously preventing the Tempest from really going to a critical mass number.
Yeah, +2 is already out in the way with Fleet Beacon being built once again. Those targets in the main base are unpowered, but it doesn't matter as Stats is going to rebuild some of the army. And nice, trying to pick up a few Vikings here and there, but he also needs to be careful because that's also a lot of ghosts. And the
charge lot's now moving across the map. They aren't with this main army here, but look at the defense from Stats, man. He's got cannons all over the place. He's got Storm, and the charge lot's moving towards this orbital here. The SCV's trying to repair here, but they can't get a full surround, and it looks like the planetary fortress isn't gonna fall.
It's really close to dying right now, but the repair seems like it's doing its job. So right now, Stats, all he can do is eat away on the SCVs over there. Once the SCV has been taken down, he can also go for the planetary fortress once again.
Mass mule called down at that base, barely surviving. The planetary fortress will end up being saved here, but almost all of the SCVs get picked off.
But also, you notice that all the units are at the left position. That's the right position over here. Well, nice EMPs on the Archons. It forces Stats away once again.
All right, we have +3 shields about to finish. Once again, we have another Doom drop from Ty in the main base of Stats. I kind of wish that Stats would just kind of learn from this and keep a lot of units in his main base to defend against these drops here. But yeah, these Zealots warping in, they're not going to be able to prevent 4 medevacs full of units from doing damage.
And this really hurts Stats because Stats, he wants to be in a position where he sits in the middle of the map and Ty cannot do anything, where he starts suffocating little by little. But Ty is finding this gap, just dropping inside the main base every single time. Stats needs to make sure, like you said, learn from his mistakes,
on the way.
And just, whoa, those Vikings are in the middle of the map, and the Stalkers are just eating away on the Vikings.
Unfortunately, Ty, a huge mistake here from him. He's going to lose a lot of those Vikings, many low on health here. This may be actually a bit of a tipping point here. Ty has been behind on supply through the majority of this game here, but still, you know, buying a lot of time by constantly attacking his expansions of the main base over here. Drops, and the Vikings will pick off one Tempest, not both of them, but getting pretty close to it. And this drop will eventually get picked off here. Stats able to blink forward with these Stalkers and with the Zealots. And Colossus and the Tempest moving forward here. The majority of these units are going to get picked off.
Stats is doing a nice job just running the Viking count right now, because once that's over, he could just push down and win the game. Look at this Ty. He's going to try to break the cannon line, but the High Templars are already over there. But nice snipes on the High Templars as Ty takes him out.
Oh, the good storms go down. The remaining High Templar do their job. Excellent storms being hit here. 4 of the High Templars will be morphed into Archons, and pretty much it's just Ghosts left here.
And the problem
for Stats.
The problem right now is, like you said, only Ghosts left, only 11 Marines and 6 Vikings against 5 Tempests, and Archons and Colossus.
Ty is being gas starved here as well. That planetary fortress is getting very low on health as well. The SCVs, they're getting killed off here. It looks like the planetary fortress will actually end up falling the second time around. Stats now going to back up a little bit, but no, using this position. No, he doesn't anymore. Using the Tempest as support from the high ground. Look at how strong this army looks. Colossus, Archon, Charge Lots, a few Blink Stalkers in the back, and then the Tempest for supports. How do you deal with this as the Terran player?
Yeah, I mean, the difference between this and Innovation and SOS game in the WCS finals is that SOS went for a pure Tempest. He didn't have any AoE damage. Right now, Stats, he has 3 Colossus, he has tons of Archons, he has High Templars coming out constantly, with 3 additional Tempests coming out on the way, with Ty not having a 5th base. I don't think he could actually win this game. He's slowly getting the Vikings out once again, but now it's going to be up to 8 Tempests from Stats.
That's just a scary number of Tempests. Stats can just slowly corrode away his opponent's army here. Ty wants to move across the map and do some damage, but he's down in supply, he's down in economy, and I feel like eventually our Protoss player is just going to be able to run him dry.
Yeah, well, he's doing that right now. He doesn't want to force an engagement where he might lose, but look at the SCV to pro count right now. 65 pro, so only 36 SCVs from TY.
And this just comes earlier from when Stats was constantly harassing that third base,
Yes.
picking off a lot of workers, just kind of getting rid of the charge lots due to the excess amount of minerals he had. And now he's going to move across the map. He wants to defend that third base, I think, from the looks of things. That drop, it's not going to do a lot of damage, but it is annoying and will eventually need to be dealt with. He's sending some units over there, and I guess he's going to eventually take that up. But no turning. He wants to make sure that he can defend his fifth base.
Because taking, if the third base on the top right-hand position gets taken out, it doesn't matter. There's only one low mineral patch left. But over here, the fifth base is important.
Yep, and the Ghosts, they're trying the EMP here, but it looks like Stats has an Observer, and the Tempests with the Stalkers are going to eventually pick off the rest of the Vikings here, and that means nothing to deal with the Colossus.
Yeah, and the Colossus is charging down once again. TY wants to take a fifth base on the left side, but it's not. His opponent not going to allow it, and GG!